If you've been investing in the stock market in the last few years, chances are you've probably made a decent return on your investment. That's because the stock market has been hitting all-time highs, and big companies are becoming more prosperous than ever. But amid a rosy global financial picture, this is all still happening under the backdrop of an increasingly unstable political environment, which leads many to wonder about what would happen if things escalate and we end up in the worst-case scenario, a nuclear apocalypse. If this happens, it'll undoubtedly result in the loss of billions of lives on this planet, which will disrupt tightly intricate supply chains, drastically lower corporate profits, and thus, sadly, indicate the end of this bull market as we know it. So what can we do to mitigate this disaster? The first thing you should keep in mind on the onset of a nuclear apocalypse is that timing is everything. While the average person will be very busy praying and rushing to embrace their loved ones, it would seem that it would be the perfect time to make money by betting against the stock market, like the S&P 500. But you'd be surprised to know that this strategy might not actually work that well in an apocalyptic environment. See, if you manage to short the S&P 500 within the first minute of the apocalypse, you'll probably see massive gains on paper as the market free falls. But since most people will be trying to sell their stocks, you might not find any buyers to exit your short position. Not to mention the bigger risk that circuit breakers on stock exchanges will go off, which would halt trading for the rest of the day. But it could also be more than just a day. It could also be a very long time. Near the end of the Second World War, the day after America dropped its second atom bomb on Nagasaki, Japan closed down their stock exchange. But the worst part is that it remained closed for nearly 4 more years. And that's only after the detonation of 2 atomic bombs that were built 80 years ago. So it's probably safe to say that these stock exchanges will be skittish during this time, and that honestly it's probably best to avoid them altogether. So what should you do instead? Since we can't trust centralized assets such as ones relying on stock exchanges, since there's too much risk that they pause or fail, the next best thing you could do is invest in decentralized assets such as crypto, gold, and non-perishable food items like canned beans or pickled eggs or something. As the power of money becomes less significant in an age of anarchy and survival, it's important to maintain a diversified portfolio of immediately sought after items, as it could greatly catapult your own chances of becoming wealthy in this new world. For example, food items can be used with immense leverage towards getting something that you want. If you get the right buyer, such as someone who ideally hasn't eaten in over a week and is on a desperate quest for any kind of nourishment, you can exchange something as simple as a can of beans for access to their underground bunker and anything else they may have. You could then take this even further by making a deal to buy their bunker outright by giving them a small weekly allowance of food. Now they own the bunker, when others come along, you can now make deals with them in exchange for a bit of bunker space, or make other good deals with the other supplies to slowly but exponentially build your wealth. Over time, you can then leverage your position to acquire multiple bunkers, hire rent collectors and security guards, and then cash flow this whole bunker operation as you begin slowly inserting yourself into other post-apocalyptic markets as well. Now, this is just one hypothetical on how it all might go, but the short answer is by positioning yourself as a sort of warlord over your region, you will ensure that once this whole apocalypse thing subsides and society begins to reconstruct, that you come out in a financial position superior to many of your peers. In conclusion, a nuclear apocalypse will undoubtedly be very tragic for the stock market. But if you followed my advice, I guarantee you'll be better prepared for a nuclear apocalypse, which will probably happen July 2nd, 2027.